There is a battle for the hearts and minds of the right wing in America, and that took on the form of Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson going at it on the same stage, not at the same time, at Charlie Kirk's signature Amfest. There were some extremely controversial things stated mostly by Ben Shapiro. Watch this.
So, if Candace Owens decides to spend every day since the murder of Charlie Kirk casting aspersions at TPUSA and the people who work here, who worked with Charlie every single day, his best friends, to cast aspersions at Mikey McCoy and Andrew Colvin and Blake Neff and Tyler Boyer, and yes, at Erica Kirk, and to imply or outright claim complicity in a cover-up over Charlie's murder, to spew absolutely baseless trash implicating everyone from French intelligence to Mossad to members of TPUSA in Charlie's murder or a cover-up in that murder, then we, as people with a microphone, have a moral obligation to call that out by name.
For those new to the channel, my name is Casey, and I have been a husband, father, and conservative man, as well as a therapist for more than a decade, and I have seen the decline of the American man, one client at a time, for the last 10 to 13 years, and I can tell you from the Midwest that we need changes, and Amfest is probably the place where this is playing out most fervently right now, as the right wing, post-Donald Trump, needs to decide where it's taking its cause. If you can join us in a cause and an America that's worth fighting for, a future of faith, fatherhood, and freedom, please like, share, and subscribe. I would love to earn your support. Let's get into more about this civil war and who's going to win for the right-wing populist movement next election cycle, next year, and next decade.
So, when Candace Owens says, "I don't know, but I know," that is retarded. And we are all more retarded for having heard it.
Ben Shapiro said that Tucker Carlson glazed Nick Fuentes and that he ought to be held accountable for that. But I also don't necessarily see the reason why anyone should be able to tell anyone how to interview their guests. And yes, if you go interview Vladimir Putin or someone else who's been accused of doing bad things, Kim Jong-un, the way to try to form a amalgamation of people from disparate parts of a political spectrum is to talk to them like they are actually people, and don't give them what CNBC or MSNBC or CNN or CBS would do, which is just try to give a gotcha, kind of like what Piers Morgan did to Nick Fuentes. Is if that's the preference, I should share with Ben Shapiro that Piers Morgan isn't a part of any conservative movement. However, there may be some points that he made about any movement, any team needs to have some moral standards and some idea of who's in and who's out. And so Ben Shapiro is fighting for his version of what the conservative movement ought to consist of. And then he made way for Tucker Carlson shortly after.
No, I'm just kidding. I watched it. I laughed. That kind of bitter, sardonic laugh that emerges from you when, like, Upside Down World arrives. When your dog starts doing your taxes and you're like, wait, it's not supposed to work this way.
Ben Shapiro also said that those who are watching Candace and those who are accepting the narratives that Candace is putting forward about the death of Charlie Kirk and the ways that she has at least implied that Erica Kirk or TPUSA might be involved. Ben Shapiro frankly said that that is the R word, and that anyone who has watched that and been akin to that is more R-worded having seen it. Tucker Carlson went on to say that many people tried to dissuade Charlie Kirk from allowing him to speak at their events, largely probably because of his lack of support for Israel in the Israeli-Gaza war. Now, as a conservative man, I must say that while we can have differing opinions about what foreign policy should be, we cannot make a movement based on how America relates to Venezuela. And if you don't like how America does Venezuelan drug boats, then you can't be in the movement, because quite frankly, we are going to disagree about things like that. We are not a very centric, ordered group of a political movement that all has the same idea at the same time, like the left wing does. When the left wing comes out about a narrative regarding something like gendered bathrooms, everyone gets on the same page at the same time. And we all celebrate on the right wing when someone like John Fetterman comes out and says something antithetical to what the left wing believes, because it's so flipping rare that anyone goes outside of the team. Therefore, the right wing has always been a group of pirates on one ship together, and none of them can agree who's going to walk the plank next. And therefore, we must be, yes, discerning, but also have some grace for differing opinions within our movement. Otherwise, we will never win again, because Charlie Kirk was the glue, but President Trump will not be here very much longer. And if we aren't able to hold a coalition together without those two men, then we're in big trouble. And we can't necessarily be that discerning about how American foreign policy relates to a certain country or not. And if you don't like that, you're in, or if you don't like that, you're out. I have room in our movement for both Ben Shapiro on the left side and a Tucker Carlson more center middle right, I suppose, and even going all the way much further right. But the value set and systems that we actually accept are exceedingly important as part of this, because there are things that go, I don't know if you can go too right for me. I mean, there are, certainly fascism isn't really a right-wing, movement, but if it were, that would be too far right for me. But I am willing to accept, the Dave Smiths of the world on the libertarian side, the Tucker Carlsons on the populist side, and the JD Vances, on the tech bro populist side. All those coalition members need to be able to come together in order for this to hold. And I'm really concerned that it won't ever hold again. We went from 2024 looking like we were never going to lose an election for the next decade to now, and it's not even 2026, and it looks like we might never win one again because our coalition is so fractured. And quite frankly, the assassination worked. If we don't pull this together, we are just simply demonstrating to the left that when you take one of us out, we all just fall apart. And that's unacceptable to me, because I'm raising 4 children in this mess, and I will not allow us to look our children in the face in 10 years and say that we did nothing to try to help unite this country behind something that looked like values that they can hold, and that they would be able to hold a Christian set of values, a family first and an America first set of values. I have to be able to look my children in the face and say that I tried to help accomplish that.
Oh, man! Well, honestly, I can't believe that Tucker Carlson would have an interview with somebody and not grab them by the throat, frankly.
In response, Tucker Carlson said, well, I just got here. Did I miss anything? And then he went on to say that he doesn't like the idea of deplatforming people, and that's sort of a left-wing idea, which I completely agree with. Everyone's voice should have room to speak. And then if you're Ben Shapiro and you talk really fast and you've been to Harvard Law School and you have better ideas, then talk really fast and convince people that your ideas are better. That's what Charlie Kirk believed in. That's, frankly, Donald Trump isn't very good at debate, but that's what JD Vance or other people like that believe in. Let us cast the ideas that suck out into the outer darkness, but any of them that are binding our coalition together, let's have those ideas out in the open and have a free speech debate about it, and the most convincing idea will win. So the deplatforming, you must reject the ideas of this person, you can't glaze this person, you have to give a hardball interview to this person, that's all just bickering that gets clicks and views. And frankly, there are people's lives on the line. Charlie lost his life to try to hold this coalition together, along with how he was sharing his faith. And we would do him a dishonor if we simply don't try to hold and bind together the same coalition that, truthfully, he might have been the one that was holding it together. And nonetheless, at Amfest, his last major event that Charlie could have planned, Amfest, and the right-wing civil war erupts. Quite frankly, last comment that we'll look at is Michael Knowles. And this man, he said, "Blessed are the peacemakers." I just read this passage to my children tonight, and I explained what it's like to be a peacemaker, not for your own purposes, not just deflecting your own needs, but to be a peacemaker with arguing groups outside of yourself It's so important. And this is the way forward if we can just hold it together long enough to listen to this idea. Let it roll.
To hear calls for like deplatforming and denouncing people at a Charlie Kirk event, I'm like, what? This is hilarious.
Can sort out its differences with patience and grace and plot a path forward that leads us all to victory. That we are all here together at this moment, Christmas time, looking ahead to the new year, all together looking ahead to the future of this country at a crucial moment, is an opportunity and a blessing. And I am reminded that blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God.
In summary, the right-wing civil war continues. Candace, Tucker, Nick Fuentes, maybe on one side, and then the Ben Shapiro, the more classically liberal wing on the other, and Michael Knowles in the middle, at least in this case. It is up to us to try to build a future that is not only a promoter of Christian values, of politically conservative values, which typically go together, but one in which our children can have enough hope that they will be able to have confidence in having children of their own, that they will be able to pursue greatness and see it through in a country that gives opportunity equal regardless of race, sex, all those things. And furthermore, a country where men can earn enough of a wage to buy a home and to support their families and to be able to allow mothers to do what they do best without having to be in the workforce if they didn't want to. That is a country that we are not in yet, but prayerfully and hopefully we can get to if we can stop bickering for clicks and views and dominance over a fractured coalition. If you can help us push to a tomorrow that has hope for our kids and our children's children, I'm trying my best. And one session at a time, one video at a time. Let's see if we can do this together. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment your thoughts. Is it Tucker or is it Ben? Or is it Michael Knowles in the middle or even someone else? Because when Trump is gone, we might be effed. Please like and subscribe. I'll talk to you soon.